Well, would you rather belong to someone or something? Or would you rather be a part of someone or something? And what's the difference? A few weeks ago on my Facebook group, Professional Polyamorous Sisterhood, I did a series talking about the energy of words. And I did a comparison of some really powerful words, words that people use today that are actually, they're interchanging these words and they have totally different energies and totally different meanings. And that's kind of where we stand today in this idea of belonging to or being a part of. Some people would say, what's the difference? It's the same. But I'm here to tell you the energy and the impression is completely different. Hi, I'm Kat Lindquist, director and co-creator of Badass Redress Society. And for most of my life, all I wanted to do was to belong, because I never felt like I did. Growing up, I was kind of an outcast, and I was bullied a lot in grade school in particular. And in middle school, I struggled to find myself and find my place. And it wasn't until high school that I actually kind of connected with my group, which was Band Geeks. I was in the marching band, and that was where I actually kind of fell into belonging. But in most of our lives, we have this need and this drive that we need to belong. We need to belong to groups. We need to belong to churches. We need to belong to social clubs. And we need to belong in our families and with our partners. But quite honestly, most women dream about having this partnership where you love each other, you support each other, you have awesome sex life, and yet you still have some sense of autonomy. That was certainly my dream when I got married. But in reality, that is not where we end up for the most part. Most people, women in particular, we end up belonging to someone or something. So after I got married, I became what I felt more of a possession. And if there were things that I did that my ex-husband didn't like, he saw it as a reflection on him rather than just something that was going on with me. And so there was this connection and this identity that I was now belonging to him, and I was connected to him, and my identity was tied to him. When in reality, I'm still my autonomous person, but that's not where relationships end up, and that's not where the idea of belonging is a healthy way to go. I felt like my autonomy was highly restricted, and I became increasingly depressed and oppressed. And I'll bet a lot of you have felt that way too, whether it's in a marriage or in a workplace or in a connection with family members or even with friends. That when you are belonging somewhere, that there's this concept and this piece of possessiveness and ownership. And it wasn't until after my divorce that I came to realize that this is how society sets us up in monogamy. That through our media and our TV and the songs, oh my gosh, have you heard the songs? All about needing to belong to each other, how possessive we get from each other, how jealous we get with each other, that we have to control our partners, or that I have to do things in order to make a connection. and to be a certain way in order for me to be accepted. And where did all this come from, you might ask? Well, it actually stems from hundreds and maybe even thousands of years ago when women were considered property. We were not autonomous. We did not have our own rights. We were property. And marriage was a legal contract. It had nothing to do with romance. Excuse me. Women were bought as wives, and literally a woman belonged to a man. And then their children belonged to the man. This is where the concept of belonging stems from. Most people don't think about that or even recognize that or know that this concept of belonging actually comes from a time when women were property. And isn't that interesting that we still use these types of language today when we're connecting with romantic or intimate relationships? We talk about belonging. But what does that really mean? It does come still with that concept of possessiveness, jealousy, ownership, control. It's on a very subversive level. Now, to be a part of someone's life or a part of a relationship still allows you to retain your individuality and your autonomy. And it has an energy of contribution and reception rather than of possessiveness and identification. So in your polyamorous or non-monogamous relationships, how do you view and see yourself belonging to your partners or being a part of your partner's life? Are you struggling with things like jealousy, feeling like you need to control things, not understanding strong emotions about your partner's new connections, feelings of self-doubt or insecurity? Last week, in my video, I talked about walking the fence and how even though you jump the fence and you're now beginning to live a more liberated life and free life and a life where you want to move away and you're beginning to move away from conventional thought and societal expectations, we are still sometimes so close to that fence and our strong ingrained belief systems of that conventional thinking and societal expectations, things about the concept of belonging, where we don't even realize what that is doing subconsciously in our relationships and how that is impacting you in your new playing field. So when you begin to create intimate relationships on your terms, you first need to figure out what your terms are. And while I can't make decisions for you, though throughout my life and my non-monogamous experience, I have developed a system which helps you to know the steps to take, which beliefs and practices to shift, and I offer individualized guidance in making these necessary changes so you can be living and thriving on the liberated side of the fence. So to learn more about how you can truly liberate yourself and create happy and healthy polyamorous relationships in which you're a part of and don't belong to, click below and you can sign up for a free 30-minute relationship revolution session with me. And in that session, we'll talk about your dreams, we'll talk about your goals, we'll talk about what's in the way and how I can help. So thank you so much for being a part of BARDS, and I look forward to seeing you at our next local event or to connect with you via telephone or video real soon. Until next time, this is Badass Cat. Cheers.